So murder hornets, economic fallout, huge virus. We will see if Joe Biden has what it takes to win the White House this November. So join us as we go over our prediction maps for June. Yeah.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Mr. R Show. As always, I am Andy.
I'm Ashton.
And I know it's felt like forever since we've done one of these, but it is finally here, our June election map just prediction. It's exciting to be back, and it feels like normal again. I feel Ashton feels the same way.
Yeah, looking forward to starting to make better content, put better content out. I do enjoy these videos. We are happy you guys enjoy these videos. It's some of our most popular content. We're constantly trying to make it better. And it's one of those things where I love seeing the transition and the kind of history of it going from when we started to where we end up. And it'll be fun after the election, kind of look back and see where we were right, which months we were more right than less right, and kind of see how history judges our maps.
Yeah, so with everything going on in the country, I'm sure if you turn on the news, you're going to see tons of stuff that's going on with the country through the protest, of course, going on. You can check out our video about that. The virus, of course, murder hornets, which seems like irrelevant news at this point. How will this affect the polls? Of course, disclaimer, because of this stuff, the polls will be shaped very drastically compared to what they would normally be if not for some of these, external things. So I think without further ado, it's time to show you guys my map. There we go. That is my June map for this. Ashton, I can see you're looking at it right now. I will give you just some of my thoughts, and you can tell everyone else how you feel about it too. Last month, I had Biden and Trump's margin a little bit closer. At 290 to 248 was last month's margin. As you can see, this month, I gave Biden 305 and Trump 233. But I think some of the key takeaways you have is that the Southeast in Georgia and Florida and then Texas are very, very close tilt states right now. Trump has leads in those states, depending on which polls you go on. I think Florida, he may be behind in with Biden. I think the last time I checked, that's what the case. But
he's behind by like 4 or 5 points in Florida.
I still feel as though Florida will be for Trump. I feel like Texas is too close to call, but I would give it to Trump as of right now. And same thing, I think Georgia, he has a bigger lead out of any of the other 3 states. Another key thing, Biden wins states like North Carolina, in my opinion, and Pennsylvania, which are huge battleground states for him. And then Iowa is shockingly in 2020 a battleground state for both Biden and Trump.
Okay.
So Ashton, what's your first reactions and responses to my
So I know a lot of our commenters have mentioned about going over RCP more directly, because we do look at it on a very regular basis, but we haven't done a good job putting it in our videos. But overall, when it comes to Florida right now, Biden is leading by a 6-point spread or margin of victory right now over Trump. Biden has 50.5, 44.3 in today's average. So my question is, what states are you really trusting the polls in to make these decisions? Because
that's a good one.
I feel like, as I mentioned on one of my Twitter threads, the biggest margin of error between the polling and the results in the state, for example, in 2016, was Wisconsin. Those polls were off by 7 points. So why are you trusting the results in Wisconsin, but not the polling results in Florida right now?
That's a good question. I think, you look at the coronavirus state right now, polling is very tough to do. Yes, you have over-the-phone polling, of course, but can you trust over-the-phone polling as well as face-to-face interactions? Usually I would say no. Then again, how can you trust anybody? You can make that argument. Florida, to me, it's just still, it's such a diverse state, of course. You have the southern tip and then midland of Florida being more Democratic towards the liberal side, and then the panhandle to the northern Florida being more Republican conservative. So it's just basically one of the pure states of 50-50. Which, how many people is going to outweigh the other, right? And we'll get into that point of who will show up and who won't. I think Trump has a way with his words in Florida to get those kinds of people that support him out to vote that the polls just don't see. And Texas is another one of those things. Texas, I feel like it's getting to that point where it could be more Democratic, but it's not yet. And I feel the same way for both Florida and Texas.
And I think another thing people will point out is, why is Louisiana and South Carolina on your map they're lighter shades than Ohio?
Yeah, it's crazy to think that in a time that Ohio is one of Trump's safe bets. And when I mean safe, of course, you never really know. But yeah, Louisiana is, again, you look at the large African American population in Louisiana compared to Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Trump is doing not good with the African American population. I'm not saying Biden is this, amazing end all be all candidate for African American people.
They did give him the primary.
I mean, it's basically like, Obama's little cousin, right? He's related to Obama, so you have to support him. Do they want to? Yes, some do, of course, But the point is that he's winning the African American vote a lot more than Trump
Especially, they have a theory if he nominates an African American woman, which it looks like he will.
With Klobuchar, stepping down.
Yeah, it'll push turnout even more.
But yes, like I was saying, I think the African American numbers in both South Carolina and Louisiana make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it changes the outcome of the state, but it makes it more interesting than it would. Ashton, I think those are some great questions on my map, and I hope we're gonna have disagreements with my map. Tell me in the comments how you would change it, or if you agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
But Ashton, I think it's time to show them your map. Wow, Ashton, that's a lot of blue, mister. A lot of blue. I'm not going to say anything because you need to explain yourself. Do you want to tell our viewers why you have Biden at 413 and Trump at a measly 125?
Yes. And I don't think, when you look at this map, you need to also look at the shades, because I did that on intention. As I'll remind people, our first video, it was me who had the election within, I think, 10 points. It was anyone's game. I think that was February or January.
I think
a lot of things have changed, and I think for the last few months I've been waiting for polling to catch up on some states, and there are other states where I kind of predicted it was going to get closer. Texas, historically, was the one that I said 2 months ago that I thought it was going to be in play, and polling is showing that now. Yeah, polls where Biden's within one, which is practically tied.
I saw it was either New York Times or some other major newspaper article that was saying, is it worth it for Biden to we can talk about that later, for him to spend money in Texas to win.
Absolutely. I feel like whatever money you spend in Texas, Trump's gonna have to spend double it just to defend a safe state. So going on to the map, I feel like Trump is severely underperforming in the key demographic of the suburbanites, and that's what you see. You see a lot of suburban states in North Carolina, Georgia, and Texas. He's going to get wiped out. I just believe it's starting to look like he's going to get wiped out. The one argument that a lot of people had for kind of holding on to voting for him was the economy. That's completely gone. It's whether it's fair or not, it's not necessarily fair or not to completely give him credit for the economy, let alone is it for blaming him for the economy, but he has to live with that, and I feel like that's going to start impacting his polling as much. It's really going to be shocking, I think, to people, especially if Biden just maintains performance with Obama, with minority groups. I think the only group he's kind of underperforming with Hillary and Biden, right? Or sorry, with Hillary and Obama is really with Hispanics, and the only
Yep.
state I see that affecting him in is really Nevada. Um, because the Hispanics in Florida is a little bit different. It's every group's different, every state's different, but I just see a lot of these red states, and I think if it keeps on going down towards this direction, this election could start becoming a real big bloodbath, even worse than what I have it. Because there are some states where I'm starting to look at, I'm like, Alaska may be in play. Utah, I think will come down to the wire. If you didn't know, Andy, the third place person in 2016 got 20% of the vote in Utah.
Well,
And that person, there's rumors he's going to endorse Biden.
oh gosh.
And Hillary got like 34% and Trump only got like 40. So I feel like there's a good chance that Utah could be picked off. South Carolina, I really think it's in play. So there's a lot of states where I just see opportunity for Biden, and Trump was in Tulsa, Oklahoma today. When you're a Republican incumbent president and you can't fill up a stadium past half capacity when you're the president in a safe state, that's not good. I'm sorry. That's red lights need to be going off. In that's added with a bunch of state polling showing Indiana within 4 points, Missouri within two. Like if you're barely holding on to those states, how do you think you're doing in Georgia and Texas, where suburbanites are gonna decide your fate? So that's why I have Texas going. That's why I have Georgia. I think they're going to be very close elections. I still think whoever wins it will be by a few tens of thousands of votes. But right now, I see a electoral landslide for the, you know, vice president.
I do have some questions on your map.
Yeah.
You look at the, south, not the southeast, but the northern southern part of the country, Tennessee, Kentucky area. Now, you have it as not a step up from, was it tilt red, or is it like just under safe, likely? Is that what you have
Yeah,
it as right now?
I would say it's likely. It's not
Okay,
safe.
okay. So I have a question about that
Yes.
before you talk on that. Why do you have it at that position of red when at some of the polls are showing him above +10 in states like Tennessee and Kentucky?
So it's all about whether you're going to perform up to the expectation of the polls. And those states haven't had a lot of polling, therefore the polling itself could be unreliable. That's what I call Michiganitis. That's where they don't have a high capacity amount of polls, and if you underperform your poll and the poll's wrong, or if you underperform your margins and the poll's wrong, which is what happened to Hillary Clinton in Michigan, and that's why the polls were off by 10 points, you can lose a state like that. Do I think it's likely? No. That's why I have it not completely dark, but I have it pink. I think in a scenario where Trump is fighting the economy every week, he's not talking about Biden, you're talking about Trump every week. There's a possibility where if his voters, let's say, come out in half capacity, hope you see what I did there. If they come out in half capacity, states like Indiana and Kentucky, very real states that he could lose in surprise. I mean, in 2008, no one expected McCain to lose Indiana, so that's why I have those. I think the biggest one out of those that I don't think might go for Biden would be Oklahoma and Kentucky. So those are the two where if there was a other shade, I would have it that shade in between the two. But good question.
Yeah, your map is crazy, to say the least. There's some differences, of course, that we have, as you can see, with me having a much closer margin compared to Ashton's map right here.
Yeah.
As I think Biden will win, as you saw in my map, I do think that you're giving Trump a little bit less credit than he does deserve for being the incumbent president. I think that 413 for Biden is just a little bit, a little bit too much of a bloodbath victory that you're hoping for there, or you see, and you never know. Polls can change in a heartbeat. I do respect your poll. Of course, we disagree, and that's fine. We can all disagree on our polls. We would love to see your guys' thoughts on our polls and our election profile and our map down below. If you think we're right, if you think I'm right, if you think Ashton's right, or you think we're completely wrong, and let us know. We like to hear from you. If you got questions, we'll try to answer them as best we can. It was good to be back finally and have a normal video for once, for our June map. And we're hoping to get back on a regular schedule every single Friday, as I think next Friday we are planning our Florida election profile. Should be the most interesting one we've done, with how vast Florida is in both demographic and industries. So stay tuned for that. And that about does it for this video, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you guys next time.
We are heroes tonight.